I have accountability because I'm accountable to God. So you could be sure that I'm going to make the right decisions as a politician because God is the one that's holding me accountable.
Despite her status as a nationally ranked boxer, it was her petite stature, her stunning good looks, and her fiery femininity that left Cara Castronuova having to prove time and time again that she doesn't hit like a girl.
My mother, she used to shake at my fights. My aunt thinks I'm crazy. My friends thought I was crazy. They really can't comprehend why I would choose to get hit in the face. My grandmother asked me, why can't I just take up some ballet classes?
Although questions about her career choice had always plagued Cara, there was one person in her life that had not only encouraged her career choice, but inspired it.
My dad did not have second thoughts about teaching a girl how to box. My dad was a former Marine. He was in the Vietnam War. He had a very, very strong influence on me. He kind of made me the type of girl that's very much a tomboy and very tough, and that has like this hard shape.
We are here at the New York Metropolitan Republican Club in New York. And we are with the one and only Cara Castronuova. Cara, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm collecting petitions. Today's the first day to petition to get on the ballot here in New York to run against Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who nobody really knows her name. She's not really out there.
So you're running against Kirsten Gillibrand, and so that means you're running for the U.S. Senate seat of New York.
Yes.
What made you run for the U.S. Senate seat in New York?
I honestly feel like God, and I'm not just saying that.
No, we're a faith-based channel.
I got into the race late. It was something just pulled me and threw me into it, and it's been a crazy past week. We went to the New York State Convention. We got some support there, so now I have support around the state.
Wow.
People out getting petitions for me, and really, it's God that pulled me into doing this, and that's really keeping me grounded for the past 7 days and for the whole the length of my life. But really, this past week, I've been praying a lot and asking God, "Am I doing this for the right reason? I don't want to do this for the wrong reason." So, yeah.
You say you felt God calling you. You have close relationship with your faith. May I ask you what is your faith? Who is the God of your understanding?
I'm a Christian, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Okay, great. So you have this? You're running for the Senate now. Let's get a lay of the land. Who are the other people that are running for the Senate and Republican Party? Are you the one and only person in the primary, or are there other people?
No, and I prefer it that way because I think that people should choose the candidate. There's two other gentlemen in the race. I'm the only female. There's a gentleman. I'm actually not going to name them. You're not supposed to name your opponents.
No, because you're probably going to be the nominee, right?
I will be the nominee, and I look forward to getting on the debate stage and having a nice, clean primary. I think I will come out victorious. Actually, I know I will because I just know. I have a feeling. I know I was meant to do this. I know I was meant to do this fight this year to go up against Gillibrand, to use the platform for beliefs that I hold very strong and dear to my heart.
Now, New York is famous or infamous, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, of being a very Democrat-leaning state, controlled by Democrats, very liberal-leaning in its voting electorate, and also its elected leaders. What is the perspective as a candidate of looking at the situation that New York is in, its electorate, and being a candidate running for the Republican Party, and knowing that this is a very heavily Democrat state? What's your thinking? What's your logic behind that?
My logic is, I know it's not an easy task. It's an uphill battle, but I do think that this is the year that it's going to happen. If there's any year that we're going to kick one of the senators out, it's this year. I think Trump is popular this year. I think people are more willing to vote Republican than ever before. People are really frustrated in New York with the border, with the migrant crisis. I go into the cities as a reporter, which is my regular job, and I talk to people every day who are frustrated, fed up. Somebody needs to cross them over the finish line to vote Republican, and I know that I could do that. I could go into those communities in the inner city and talk to people and tell them about what Republican values are and make them realize that we are actually their friend and that they need to vote red this year and in the future.
Now, you just mentioned that you were a reporter for that was your day job.
Yes.
Can you give our audience a little bit more background of what you were doing career-wise before you decided to run and your background?
I'm on Newsmax up until last week. We can't. It's a conflict of interest, so Newsmax every Saturday.
Wow, right on Newsmax. Right. Decide to let it go. Wow.
On Newsmax, reporting on Newsmax. Also for the Gateway Pundit, which I'll be able to stay with as a writer.
Good.
And that's the good news. And like I said, I'll be back at Newsmax in 7 years after I leave the Senate.
Right.
It's
Okay.
a 6-year term.
6-year term. Okay.
I'm
So
gonna
you just
win.
said something very interesting. You said you're going to be back there in 7 years. A lot of people who run for office, they get elected, and then they stay there for another term, and then another term, and then sometimes you have elected officials like the one that just stepped down from being the Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who was there for a long time, so he's going to step down. Are you saying that you want to just go one and done?
I believe in term limits. 6 years is a long time. I'm the type of person that's gonna, I'm gonna vote with my heart,
Right.
and with the people. So, wherever that takes me. If
Sure.
it takes me into another term here in New York, that would be great.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm gonna vote the right way.
Now, I'll just give you my 2 cents. This is my personal opinion. I think a lot of people do support term limits. I think people across. I think that's a great thing to run on. People say, why are you, as an elected official, saying that you're a public servant, going into public service and staying there for 2 decades, 3 decades, and making a fortune and getting all this money? That doesn't seem like somebody who's doing that should be
Right.
making all that money.
Right.
Another thing is,
Yeah, they come out like
yeah.
millionaires. Wouldn't that be nice? But I don't believe in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see a lot of you see a lot of the things happening now. I mean, there's a lot of trading that happens, and they don't. It's a conflict of interest, of course. I mean, Nancy Pelosi was just in the news. She made $1.4 million on Nvidia call options,
crazy.
and it's remarkable. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to say is that I would suggest 5-year term limits for House of Representatives, or 5 terms. So that's
terms.
2.
That's
That's 10
10
years. And then 2 terms for
I
Senate.
think 2 terms is fair for Senate. 12 years is a long time.
Yeah, that's
It's a long
3.
time.
That's 3 presidential cycles.
Right.
Right.
Well,
And-
it's time to, I believe that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you would support that?
100%. I don't.
Would you bring that bill up in this? Would you bring that
I
bill
would.
up in the Senate?
I would. I would support that.
Okay.
Term
Cara
limits.
Castronuova. One of the first things. I don't know if this is one of the first things that she says she will do as in office, but she's saying it here with us that she would introduce a bill for 2 terms for senators. That's a really big deal. I think that's awesome. And you've only been running for a week, so to get this interview right here, interview with the Senate candidate, I think is pretty awesome. Okay, so you were a reporter for Newsmax. Can you give people a little bit of what you saw as a reporter at Newsmax, what you were seeing?
I saw the turn of the city. Like you
Yeah.
could, ask my fellow John Tobacco who's here. We were on the street with microphones interviewing people 4 years ago, 8 years. Like the point is, people were not receptive to be on a conservative news channel.
Right.
But now that is completely flip-flopped. It's crazy. I was in the Bronx talking to a lot of people. They're the bluest borough in New York City. I stood on
Wow.
a street corner by myself with no camera person and a tripod,
Get
and
outta
I had
here.
people shouting, we're voting for Trump 2024. I'm not going to curse on a Christian channel.
Sure.
I gave it up for Lent, but the F word, Joe Biden.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
is what people are saying in the Bronx, and it's crazy. And I've seen the turnaround with my own eyes. Like 3 years ago, it was Donald Trump is this, and Donald crying about Donald Trump. Now they're screaming Trump 2024.
That's a remarkable
Crazy.
turnaround.
And I really mean that. It's 100% the accurate truth. As a reporter, I'm telling you that.
What is kind of your? You have to go. New York is a big place, not just New York City. A lot of
Right.
voters in New York City. What is your thoughts on the upper part of New York? What are the things that they're thinking about, and to reach out to them? What are you thinking about doing?
I met a lot of them at the New York State Convention, and to them, the Second Amendment is very important. They have a very different way of life up there than we do down
Sure.
here. They call it downstate. We're part of downstate. They're upstate, but
Interesting.
they call us downstate. So I spoke to a lot of them. A lot of them are really in line with Trump, America First values, closing the border. A lot of the same stuff as we have going on down here. Just a little bit more, I think, set in their convictions when it comes to pro-life and when it comes to the Second Amendment, especially the Second Amendment. That they're all about the Second Amendment, which I am too. I'm a
Sure.
big supporter of the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah, Second Amendment, and also talking about the First Amendment. I think that's a really important, it's one of the most fundamental rights, and that we talk about a lot. Being a person of the media, seeing what has happened ever since really Trump was elected, 2016, and then 2020 with COVID. A lot of people are saying that the whole media landscape is getting shaken up, and it's getting disrupted by people doing interviews, in the street. You have social media, content creators, and people that are just going out there and presenting a different perspective than what the traditional mainstream media, legacy media does. What are your thoughts about the way Americans are consuming information, how its impact on politics, and what the landscape has been like?
I mean, I'm grateful for citizen journalists. That's where I started out. I think it's, the check and balance of the mainstream media, which is absolutely lopsided.
Sure.
It's lopsided. So I do think that citizen journalists are the new wave of journalism. They're really not beholden to these giant corporations or media bosses. So I embrace citizen journalism. A lot of citizen journalists that I follow are more accurate than the mainstream media. So,
wow.
I think they're the fifth tier. I think they call the media the fourth tier. Now the fifth tier is citizen journalists.
Would you say that the mainstream media, legacy media, has damaged its credibility over the past?
They're completely done. I mean, I don't trust the mainstream media at all. I work in the media, and I don't consider Newsmax the mainstream, nor the Gateway Pundit. That's for sure.
Oh no, absolutely.
And I have complete freedom of speech there, and the mainstream media is another story. It's not to be trusted.
Yeah.
They interfere with elections, in my opinion,
Yes.
and people need to wake up and stop trusting them. And I think they are.
They are. They're doing it themselves.
Right.
I mean, just look at it.
People are
They're the
done.
ones who can decide. I mean,
Right. Yeah, people aren't watching TV as much as they were. Like, they're turning to other sources, and I think that's really healthy. I think that people have to have options.
absolutely. We're a Christian Catholic-based YouTube channel, and we have
Catholic.
we're Catholic, very Catholic. Are you Catholic as well?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful! We have another fellow Catholic here. This is fantastic. So, we were just at CPAC. Our first person we met was actually Bishop Strickland,
Yeah, I met him.
and you know him.
Yeah. I met him.
You met him.
And,
you met
and
him.
his deacon told me that he reads the Gateway Pundit, which was great.
That is very.
So I'm like,
that's
wow,
excellent.
we're actually reaching the Catholic leaders.
Yeah, and he's a Catholic leader, been fearless, so calling him the new Fulton Sheen. How does your faith engage, how does your faith come into play in your thinking about politics and your approach to public
It's
life?
the only thing. I wake up in the morning praying. I get teary-eyed. Like, I literally woke up this morning like, God, please take me through this day. Please, I sleep with a cross on my chest.
Amen.
I feel bad because it fell on the floor and Jesus' hand broke off. I'm like searching around
Oh, my
I sleep
goodness.
with a crucifix on my chest every night, and I wake up praying every morning, and that's the only thing that directs me.
It's beautiful to hear you say that, because I think starting with God, the love of God, or the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all
Yes.
wisdom, and loving God first and foremost in your life instructs all.
I said in my speech at the New York State Convention, the only person that holds me accountable is God. Like, I have accountability because I'm accountable to God. So you could be sure that I'm going to make the right decisions as a politician, because God is the one that's holding me accountable, and that's the truth. I run everything through my head, and I pray every night that I'm doing the right thing. And as soon as God tells me you're in this for the wrong reasons, I'm out.
Amen. It's beautiful to hear that. And thinking about that and how you're speaking the God of my understanding is Jesus Christ. A lot of media pundits, commentators in the mainstream media Democrat Party say that Christian nationalism is the biggest threat to democracy and to America. A bigger threat than Al-Qaeda, than China, than Russia. What would you say in response to that?
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a fabrication crafted by the media. I don't think that Christian nationalism, white supremacy, it's just creating a boogeyman, like the same way they did after 9/11. Now it's Christians they're using, like the way they did after 9/11, how they passed the Patriot Act.
Right.
Now we're all suffering from the ramifications of that with our privacy and the effects of it many years later. So I think it's the same thing. I've been an advocate for the January 6th prisoners.
Amen.
And they said,
Fantastic.
they're hostages, they're political prisoners, and they try to say, oh, the biggest threat to democracy right now is, white Christians, and it's very scary because that's obviously not true.
Yes.
They're using them to demonize them to get to everybody else.
Amen. Agreed. Cara, thank you so much for your time. You've been wonderful. It is
Thank
so
you.
great to meet the newest candidate for Senate for New York. Where can people find you, get access to you, learn more about your story, and donate to your campaign, all of the above?
Go to Cara for Senate, CARA, spell out for, FOR, because some people think it's the number 4, Senate.com. You could donate. You could reach out to me if you want to volunteer. Help me get petitions. We got to get 15,000.
Before when?
Before April 4th? April 4th.
Okay, we
Yeah,
got about a
so
little bit over a month.
Cara4senate.com. Cara, CARA.
CRA.
Spell out for, FOR. Cara4senate.com. Please reach out to me there and donate, and you could help me get some petitions around the state of New York.
Wonderful. If you're in New York, come find Cara Castronuova, donate, volunteer, and above all, pray. We will pray for you and on your Senate race. And we
you
wish you
so
all the
much.
best.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Get a picture with you and Steve. You also said that if we order some stuff for the campaign, you'll have her on your OnlyFans page.